Okay.
Okay, so let's get started. Welcome and good evening, everybody. I'm Amy Barrett, and I, along with Wynn and Jody, are here today to answer your questions about how to run your school board. I hope some of you are seriously considering running for school board. And Board Boost, which we will talk about toward the end of the presentation, is a school board candidate training and campaigning program. Next slide. Wynn.
Hold on 1 second. It's not letting me do next slide. Return. There we go.
Okay.
Return.
Actually, Wynn just went through most of this. So yeah, please stay muted during the presentation. You can drop questions in the chat and we will go through the chat. And during the Q&A period, please, there's enough of us, so please raise your hand and lower your hand. Use the raise hand and lower hand icons. Okay, next slide. All right, so we have three speakers. I'm Amy Barrett. I'm a retired English teacher. I love books and I hate book banning. And I got involved in Board of Ed when somebody tried to ban books in my local high school. I administer HC Rise, which is a private Facebook page that provides information in Hunterdon County about board issues and board candidates across Hunterdon. And I've been volunteering with Board Boost since 2023. Jody Betterman is a former school board member. She's run competitive campaigns in a very conservative district. Her district's currently trying to ban books. She's an engineer and she's worked in both the pharmaceutical and energy industries. And she has also volunteered with Board Boost since 2023. And Win Kuhn is the founder and executive director of Action Together New Jersey and the nonprofit ATNJ Education Fund, which sponsors Board Boost, which she founded. She's also responsible for the widespread use of ballot boxes across New Jersey. All right, next slide. So I'm going to talk about why it's urgent to run now. Jody's going to talk about the roles and responsibilities of board members and what exactly you have to do to get on the ballot. And then Wynn's going to talk about what comes next and how we can help you campaign. And then we will open it up to questions. All right, next slide. Okay, so why run for Board of Ed? If you look at the map, everything in dark blue is a state with good schools. New Jersey has excellent schools, at least in our suburban communities. We've consistently been rated in the top 5, depending on who's rating, sometimes number 1, sometimes 3, sometimes 5. A good public school contributes to a community's identity. It's a spot for community events like sports and music and theater productions. Good schools attract young families. They keep a community vibrant. Good families attract local businesses and raise your property values. So those are some reasons to run for a Board of Ed, even if you no longer have children in a district or don't have children in a district. Why is it urgent to run now? There have been, since 2020, Board of Ed meetings used to be boring, and hopefully they'll be boring again. But since 2022, there have been extremist groups like Moms for Liberty, like Project New Jersey and the New Jersey Schools Facebook page, like Bill Spadia. Let's go back to the, when can we go back to the one with the pictures?
Yeah, hold on. There's something going on. I can't go back.
Okay,
Sorry.
it's okay. The one with the
Yeah.
news articles. Thank you. So yeah, these extremist group have been backing extremist board members. A couple of things going on lately. Right now, this past week, Kinnelon, New Jersey, and Morris County has their board's been voting on a parental bill of rights, which is very anti-LGBTQ. Earlier this year in Colts Neck in Monmouth County, Linda McMahon was invited to come visit, and she brought with her a civics curriculum that was sponsored by Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization, and Moms for Liberty. In my own Hunterdon County, we had a board last year that cut mental health services at a time where you really shouldn't be doing that. Students are more and more feeling vulnerable. And we have our Reddington Board of Education that is currently trying to ban books. So next slide now. Okay, so this is a more complete list of what extremist boards do. And I have personally seen all of these things in Hunterdon County alone, except for the last bullet. So an extremist board comes in, they get the majority, they disrupt normal school district business. For instance, they try to discredit superintendents or business administrators. First thing they do is cancel contracts with reputable attorneys. They try to silence board members who disagree with them. An extremist board also makes the most vulnerable students feel less safe. And that would be your LGBTQ students, your minorities, your students of color, and your special ed students, your immigrant students. Some of the ways they do that is canceling contracts with mental health services, voting to ban books that may have characters, Black characters or LGBTQ characters. They try to abolish or rewrite policies. The most notorious one has been trying to change the transgender student policy to require parental notification. Some of the other things they've done is, they cost taxpayers money with lawsuits and ethics charges. The Attorney General's office has sued a number of school districts. They promote clubs such as Turning Point, USA Club America. They try to limit teachers' professional development. And at least in maybe Colts Neck and definitely Bucks County, Pennsylvania, they try to impose curriculum written by Christian nationalists. I'm going to turn it over to Jody now, and she's going to talk to you about what school board members should be doing.
Yes, thank you, Amy. So hi, everyone. I am a former Board of Education member in Reddington, right at the cusp of when all of this was starting to turn over and to go from a nonpartisan board over to a more partisan board. So when and Amy asked me to put together information for you on what traditionally the role of a school board member is and what is the traditional role of a school board. And I have to say that when I put these slides together, it made me very sad to see what I was instructed in when I first got on the board and what's going on in my community now. So I'm going to give you the New Jersey School Boards Association version of what a school board member's role is, and then feel free to ask at the end, question and answer session, how this has changed and what it might mean to you running now. So traditionally, the role of a school board member is three things: policy, planning, and appraisal. It's the very first things you get trained on when you come onto a board of education. What do those things mean? Setting policy is very important. That is what's making the news right now, because as extremist members come onto boards, they are setting policies that further their own agendas rather than serve the interests of the students that they've taken an oath to provide an education for. So traditionally, policy adoption means aligning your policies with the state of New Jersey's laws, and that flows down from the governor. So that's the first and most important role of a school board member. Second, school board members have control over the budget. So in that way, school boards plan for the future. So they set the direction for the next several years of the board, which is also kind of an interesting thing. Board turnover is in January, but goals are set in September and October. So you may find yourself coming onto a board that already has goals for the school year that they're moving towards for this planning objective. And you may find yourself having to support these planning goals that were set during the first few months of your term before the summer comes and you're able to have more influence over the goal setting for the upcoming year. So school board members are always kind of a year ahead of what's actually going on in their district, which is kind of a different way of thinking as well. Lastly, and perhaps penultimately important, is appraisal of the superintendent. The only employee of you as a school board is the superintendent. Everyone else reports to the superintendent. So as a Board of Education, usually starting in like March, but you get updates from your superintendent during the year. So starting in March, you will dedicate a significant amount of time, if you take this seriously and you're fulfilling your role, in evaluating the superintendent. There are many tools that can be done in different districts to do this, but the objective is the same: provide feedback to the superintendent on how they did in achieving the goals for the year, and then to try and have a conversation during the evaluation on what you can all agree to see for the upcoming year. All right, next slide, please. So now that I've talked about being a school board member, I thought it was valuable to take it a step higher and give you some information on what a school board is vested to do. And what you can learn in your training is the school board doesn't run the schools, but your role as a school board is to make sure the schools are well run. That is a big distinction between what board members are supposed to do and what they're not supposed to get involved with. So school board members don't get involved in the day-to-day operations of the school district, which is where some of these extremist boards seem to be going off the rails. They are trying to step beyond where you should just be making sure the schools are being well run, and delve into the control of curriculum and reading materials for students. One of the first things I learned when I came on the board, which I thought was really interesting to share, is that the legislative power that's vested is vested in the school board as a whole. So you might think it works like the Senate or the House. School boards operate in a very different way. So no individual has any power on a school board. The power only comes from building consensus among all the school board members, and making a decision that then moves forward. By doing that, you as a school board member have to support that decision. So it's not whether you agree or disagree with the decision, it's that your role is to put your perspective forward, sometimes in executive session, sometimes in the public, and to have the role of the vice chair and the president are to bring everybody together towards consensus. And then in that way, you have made a decision that then everybody can move forward with. And consensus does not mean everybody agrees. Consensus means every voice is heard, every perspective is considered, and yet the board can come together and make this valuable decision that helps your school district serve the students. So that part made me very sad, I have to say. So now that you know what a school board member is supposed to do, what a school board is vested in doing, I'm sure the next question is, how do I get on the ballot? I've decided I'm interested in this. What do I have to do? This is crunch time for us. So petitions must be filed by July 27th at 4 p.m. And that is set ahead of time. So that's, you have to have it in. Your petition has to have at least 25 signatures now. And you get those forms from your county clerk. So the county clerk provides you with the form, you fill it out, and you need to submit it by July 27th. So some details that might help you that we've learned by doing this over the last few years is, number one, set up a campaign email. Do not use your personal email if you can help it, because that becomes public. So you will start getting emails to whatever email you put on your petition. And so we have found it serves our candidates better to have a separate email that handles that, rather than to have it come into your personal email address. So you set up a campaign email, Betterman for, xboe@gmail.com, some, nondescript thing that you can use. And that can match your campaign name. If you have a certain campaign slogan that you're using, you could use that for your email. You can make everything match. That sometimes is easy for people to manage during their campaigns, so you can think about that. Then you have to think about our candidates need to, in this day and age, raise money for their campaigns. That means even if you're doing it all on your own, you and your family, you still have to go through these steps, because no matter if you spend 100 of your own dollars, it still needs to be officially done, and your campaign needs to be filed with New Jersey Elect, which is the organization that governs this. It's not an overwhelming process, but there's definitely steps to it, and that's what we're sharing here. So you start off by getting an EIN from the IRS. Very straightforward, takes about a day for you to get, and that is a campaign number that gets assigned to you. And then you can take that EIN and go to your local bank. We have good experience out here in Hunterdon County with TD Bank. They're used to political campaign accounts. That's what you're asking for, is a political campaign account. They'll set it up with your EIN, and you'll have to do an initial contribution, which you can do as a loan to your campaign if you decide. So the next step is, at that point, you may want to have a treasurer. We have found that at least 2 people on the campaign team helps to divide your efforts. You, as your candidate yourself, can focus on running your campaign, and having a partner with you that can focus on the treasury piece, setting up the account with you, and monitoring the ins and outs of your account, and doing the reporting for LEC. Helps you stay focused on your campaign. So we do recommend you have a treasurer, and that gets listed on your elect form. So you have your EIN, you have your campaign bank account, you have your treasurer. Now you're going to file your forms with NJ Elect. You have to get an ID, so this does take a couple days, so don't save this till the last minute. Once you have your ID, you filed your form with Elect, then you're all set. You can start taking contributions. And so at that point, you can think about setting up a digital platform. We don't recommend using a partisan platform like ActBlue. We find that other platforms can be more nonpartisan and can show your true role as a nonpartisan candidate running for a board of education. So you and your treasurer will set up an account for digital donations. And the part I forgot to mention is that you need to have a 3-word slogan on your petition when you file it. I think that's worth talking about a little bit, because what we have learned over the past several years is those candidates who don't have a slogan don't do as well as candidates that do select a slogan, because when the public goes to the ballot, to the polls, and they see you on the ballot, they look at that 3-word slogan under your name, and that can earn you votes, and that can take votes away from you. So it's important to consider that 3-word slogan. We've mentioned that I was a candidate and a board member in a very conservative district. So one of the most successful slogans we found here is "Right for Reddington." And it's because people look at that. To me, that means I'm the right person for Reddington. But to a conservative district, if someone doesn't know who to vote for, it may just get you those additional votes you need to push you over the finish line. All right,
Now,
I'm going to turn it over to Wynn.
Yeah, I just want to, a lot of people have slogans that, like all students thrive, students come first, student-centered type slogans. Did you mention that you should get more than 25 signatures?
She did.
Okay. That was, all right, that was
So
earlier. Okay.
let me just follow up on what Amy just said, which is we have had candidates within Board Boost who, now just less than a handful, but still, who were booted because they had some challenge to their petition signatures. and they were found to be incorrect, whether the person wasn't registered or they were not in the county, whatever the qualifications were, and so they could not run. So they didn't make the ballot. So don't make that mistake. I always recommend 30 to 35 just in case. And that's relatively easy to do. I use the signature gathering on the ballot as a way to introduce myself to potential voters. They don't have to vote for you. They don't have to commit to voting. You just say, I just need your signature so I can get on the ballot. Will you support me for that? And most people do. So that's an easy thing to do. Jody went over through a lot of the nuts and bolts. We'll cover that in the Board Boost program if you were to join us. But just really quickly, this is how we can help. And in 3 years, we have helped over 200 candidates uh, run for the school board, and over 100 have won. So we are very, very proud of our ability to help, and it exists on volunteers solely. This is my favorite work that I do at our nonprofit um, because up ballot gets all the attention, right? And it's the lower ballot people. I always say that the lower you're on the ballot, the closer you are to your community and the closer it is to your heart. And I really believe that. So I love working with school board candidates. So here's what we provide. We provide webinars and training. We used to provide it monthly, but that was overwhelming for a lot of people. We did surveys and we got feedback on what are the top four things that people wanted help on, and that's what we focus on. We do provide you with files, print-ready files of professionally customized campaign marketing design. So whether it's voter cards, door hangers, or lawn signs, for example, we design that in collaboration with you. We also have, as a nonprofit, we are able to give you the nonprofit printing and mailing rate from our printer. It's a woman-owned business in Union County. We've worked with her for 10 years, and she only offers this rate to board boost candidates because she really believes in our program and what we do. And the professional marketing designs that we give to you per your approval that you provide to her should you choose to go with her. She knows it's well designed. There's not going to be a problem. It's an easy transition, right? It's not you know, one-off Photoshop or whatever it is, or AI these days. So she really appreciates that. So here's our marketing program. We have all the information that we can provide you. I'm just going to go through here really quick. This is like some of the past templates that we provide. And again, we customize it to you and your campaign. Here are some actual campaigns that we have designed in the past. There are 3 professional graphics designers that work with us and volunteer their time. One, for example, was the marketing designer for Bratz dolls. Are you guys familiar with that? Well-known doll, the dolls with the big eyes, right? Also, she was with HBO. A lot of the shows on HBO, she designed for them as well. So we have really great people who know what they're doing and can provide this. If you guys look at the top, you can see the 3-word slogans on 2 of them that Amy talked about, which is smart, experienced, and leadership. That was the one that Christina chose to go. The other one is Deborah in Cape May County. She went with Protect Public Education because that's what's happening in her community. So these are just some of the examples and some of the colors, but you tell us what colors and we work with you to design that for you. And here are some of the resources. For everyone who signed up for this webinar, we will provide this slide set to you. So those links, you can go through, link on it, and get more information. Highly recommend the HC Rise BOE Candidate Toolkit. Has everything that you need. NJSBA also provides their own candidate kit as well. So that's for you to take a look at. And lastly, the Board Boost fact sheet, if you want to know more about, what we offer and what we do, that's in there. And you can get all of that, all of our resources and tools and our connections for, and all we ask for, because we are a nonprofit, we just ask for a personal $150 personal donation. And that pays forward for next year's cohort of candidates. So for you guys this year, this program is in part donated through last year's board boost candidates and cohort. Make sense? So that's what we ask for. And with that, we want to thank you. And I'm going to turn off, I'm going to stop share, and then I'm going to turn off the recording so that we can go ahead and take your questions offline here.